What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know the secret and effective, very powerful goal-setting method that I use that you can use week by week to move yourself down the field of success? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. Normally, it's $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle from Unlocking Your Inner Strength at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com. Once again, back with episode number 48. Today, I've got a smorgasbord of topics to go over. This morning, I was up shortly after 4 o'clock, not necessarily by choice, but when I get up that close to the alarm, I stay up. Colt was up. Devin, had asked me if I could help, and my brain was mush. Late night at the gym, late night prepping for today, and it starts to wear on you as far as when your sleep gets that cut into. However, what I did to get my brain going, because I was trying to do my visualization while walking in circles with Colt. Literally, I walk in counterclockwise circles, and it just wasn't working. So I said, okay, Colt. I put him in the baby Bjorn. We went up and down the street for about 20 minutes. Both got some fresh air. He quieted down. And at that point, I had my headphones on, so I did a walking meditation. So you have to leverage your time and realize that things are going to come at you. Chaos happens. You know, I talk a lot about chaos planning. If you plan for chaos, it's not going to derail you completely. A question I've been getting a lot lately, or a topic that seems to be coming up a lot lately, is this question of burnout. So a couple things I want to go over, and then I'm going to go over some random topics that Anthony Stavrakis, my boy, been training at Newell Strength since he was in high school, so about 6 years now, had sent me for some topics that he would like me to cover. So I'll kind of go stream of consciousness when I talk about those things. I'm going to touch on a great book I just finished, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. So again, I'll flip open the pages that I have notes on and just kind of talk about that stuff. But I want you to walk away with an answer to the question of discovering or knowing, why is it that you quit when you've quit things that you don't want to quit? Let me put it that way. There is a time and a place to quit when you know what you're doing is completely up the wrong path. So we have something called a time intensity curve, which I've talked a lot about with mind mapping. With the time intensity curve, basically you have intensity going up the vertical line, okay, and time would be on the horizontal line. Now, the way most people try to create a difference in their life or a transformation is they go very intense for a short period of time. So you have this big spike and it comes back down and they revert back to the norm, or they wind up worse off because the feedback that their brain and their body has gotten by this massive surge of willpower. And again, the brain cannot form habit around anything that's willpower based. So underneath that first very intense but short period of time push, you have something called uninformed optimism. You don't know what you don't know. You think that by grunting through it and using willpower, this time it's going to work. So think about diets, how many times people do that. So uninformed optimism. It's good to be optimistic, but you're uninformed. You're not going about it a smart way. Then what happens when you come out the other side, you have informed pessimism. So now you know how hard it is, or that it's actually not going to be a 30-day fix or a 3-week fix. It's going to be a process. Yet you now have a pessimistic mindset and you think, man, this is going to be like this for every goal that I set or everything that I try to do. Why should I even try? Now, there's two things. Let me back up a second. The only way that you cannot succeed with whatever it is that you want to do in your life is if you quit. I'm going to say that again because it's profound. The only way that you cannot succeed with whatever it is that you want to do is if you quit. That's the only way. I was talking with a member at the gym yesterday who wanted to know how much I write per day. So I gave him an example. I said, yesterday I wrote about 2,400 words. Got it all done within a matter of, I don't know how long it took me, 40 minutes. And what he was getting at was he loved the daily emails that I put out. So then we got to talking about this concept of, look, that's an amazing thing to most people in life when you just consistently show up. So it doesn't sound too crazy, but when you consistently show up, and the reason that's amazing to most people is because people quit long before they're even close to mastering whatever it is they're trying to master. So you have the 10,000 hour rule. Now, most people probably don't even make it, to be honest with you, to the 500 hour mark. 10,000 hour rule states that you have to make it or put in 10,000 hours of focused, intense area of study and practice and application to the area you're trying to master. 10,000 hours is a long time. Two great books for that, by the way, are The Talent Code and Outliers. Outliers is by Malcolm Gladwell. I can't recall the author of Talent Code off the top of my head. So what's going to cause you to quit? So we know that quitting is the only way you can't succeed. But two things, you have boredom and you have burnout. Now, revert back to mind map. Too fast or too slow or lack of clarity are very threatening to the brain. So boredom to me is when things are moving too slow. You didn't set a big enough objective. You're going to give up. Your brain is not going to be engaged. Burnout is too fast. Trying to do too many things at once. Nobody on the face of the planet can actually multitask. It might appear that they can, but they cannot. That's true. You can look it up. So the only way you won't succeed is if you quit. And the two things that are going to cause you to quit are boredom or burnout. Now, let me just open my phone here. I don't know if you could hear the fan in the background. We now have windows and a fan in the shed. Last week it was 110 when I recorded the podcast, 110 degrees. Right now it's 86, so that's pretty cool. So Anthony asked, why is EQ more important than IQ? Good question. So he's talking about emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and intelligence quotient, intelligence, okay, book smarts. I don't even know what my IQ is, but I know my EQ is pretty high. And intuitively, I've always known that people don't care really what you know. It's that saying, right? They don't care what you know until they know that you care. Something along those lines. There are many, many smart people out there that were straight A students, honor roll students, valedictorians, that never amounted to much. People that have a very high intelligence when it comes to academics usually are not the leaders and the world changers because they follow the rules too much. As far as emotional intelligence, if you can read what other people are feeling or be empathetic towards them, people are going to want to be around you. If you can read body language and things of that nature, that's a huge plus. Now go back to IQ for a second. Just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean you were good in school. You might not even have gone to school. I do know a man, I believe he had a 191 IQ, was Al Capone, and he was a genius. Some say he used it for the side of evil, but he was a genius. This one, going all in on your strengths, how to use your strengths to hedge your weaknesses. So I had a mind map session last night with a female client, and we were talking about seeing the silver lining. For example, to play to your strengths, you got to turn some of your weaknesses into strengths. I used to hate reading. I'm a very slow reader. I used to be petrified to hold a conversation. I did not like to get up in front of a crowd and speak. I had a teacher when I was a freshman in high school. I had to give a public speech in the class, which I was already uncomfortable about. And she proceeded to make fun of me the entire time I was up there. And I'll never forget that. And that's a shame on her, but I used the attitude, you know what, I'm going to show this person one day. When I was in college, I used to be petrified when it would come to a class where I had to give a speech. There was another point in high school, I actually took a failing grade for a project because I refused to give the speech because I did not want to be up in front of the class speaking. So I was very fearful of that. I used to mumble. I still do, some say. I used to stutter. You know what I did? I worked on my speaking. Literally, I worked on mouth exercise. I worked on enunciation. I worked on learning a bigger vocabulary. I learned how to speed read. I learned how to write. And I turned those into my greatest strengths, my communication skills. So I had those weaknesses. I was always a good storyteller. My grandfather will tell you that from day one, when I could talk, I was a storyteller. So now I turned some weaknesses into strengths. Now I combine them with my strength of storytelling. So you have to know what you're good at. I know, for example, about myself, because I can speak about myself better than anybody else, because I know myself the best, is that I'm going to take action I take fast and furious action, I like to call it. I don't wait for things to be perfect. And I know what I'm not good at. So that's a strength. So here's another one he's got. Top 5 ways to grow your business or brand. Be yourself. Be unique. Create a character. If you are yourself and you don't hold back and you tell interesting stories, that's your brand. There's a reason that I started doing so much writing back in the day for Newell Strength. The monthly 12 to 16 page newsletter that gets mailed out is like a little novelette. I'll have, I had a doctor recently stop me and say, "Oh man, I haven't seen you in a while, but I feel like I'm living your life with everything that you're putting out there. It's just great, man. It's awesome to see that." So that's just by being myself and putting out my struggles, putting them out there to share with people. I know it's not 5 ways, but that is your brand. Create the fascination factor. Advice to young entrepreneurs who wants to know. So entrepreneur is somebody that creates something from nothing. That's my definition of it, to provide value to the world. The advice would be to take advice from those that have gone before you. Wisdom many times comes with age. I will tell you that things will get very hard. I will tell you that it is not an easy life. If you're looking for easy, stay with the 9 to 5 when it comes to your mind. A lot of times as an entrepreneur, it's 24/7. If you want to shut it off, it's hard to shut off. I'll tell you, don't quit. And I'll tell you, focus on the process. Don't look 10 years down the road. The anxiety gap will raise. The anxiety level will raise. You'll become inhibited. You won't be able to put out your creative and best work. Study marketing if you're an entrepreneur. I don't care what thing you're into, what your path is going to be, but all businesses are marketing businesses. Learn marketing. It's a lot of psychology. I love studying that stuff, but you got to know that. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know the secret and effective, very powerful goal-setting method that I use that you can use week by week to move yourself down the field of success? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. Normally, it's $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. Unexpected benefits of failure. Well, the biggest benefit is failure is how you learn. You cannot learn through biofeedback if you don't fail. All failure, you need failure. The more you fail, the quicker you succeed. The more you fail, the more you learn about what you need to do different the next time. So flip it on its head. Failure is not a bad thing, guys and girls. It is something that is needed if you want to succeed. Oh, he's got a couple good ones on here. I want to make sure I get to that book, though. So let's see. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save the rest of Anthony's questions for the next week's episode. So I want to go over a couple things from Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. This was a great book. A little lengthy, 430 pages exactly. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. So a lot of times, I know one of my weak points is I don't value the gifts that I have enough. And growing up with 3 brothers, a lot of times money was scarce. So you have these belief systems, right? I've done a lot to work on overcoming that stuff, but I always have to study it and connect to it. So that was my scope, my aim of getting this book. So let's see. I'm going to flip open here. So what I do as I read is I underline a lot of stuff and I make notes. And then I go back through the book and I take notes and I reread those underlined things. Okay. Your mindset is everything. Listen to this. Psychologists further state that man can release more result-getting power in 1 hour of concentrated use of his mind than in 24 hours of physical work. Some psychologists even believe that man can release more result-getting power through 1 hour of concentrated work than he can through a month of physical work. Your thoughts will dominate your life and what you become and what you do. That's what that's saying. So at a workshop I did out here in the shed about a month ago, I talked about, okay, if I had this idea and there was nothing here that I'm sitting in, these 4 walls, and I wanted to build a shed, I might have the idea, but it's going to take me, if I was going to build it from scratch, a long time, longer than a month, because I wouldn't be able to do it full time. But how long did it take me to come up with the thought? It was instantaneous. So your thoughts are very, very powerful. Very powerful. This is a good one. I'm an irresistible magnet. So remember, when you're writing affirmations, use I am. So this is something you can write down if you replay this later. I'm an irresistible magnet with the power to attract unto myself everything that I divinely desire according to the thoughts, feelings, and mental pictures I constantly entertain and radiate. I'm the center of my universe. I have the power to create whatever I wish. I attract whatever I radiate. I attract whatever I mentally choose and accept. I begin choosing and mentally accepting the highest and best in life. I now choose and accept health, success, and happiness. I now choose lavish abundance for myself and for all mankind. This is a rich, friendly universe, and I dare to accept its riches, its hospitality, and then to enjoy them now. So that's powerful. That is powerful. 2 more things, and I'll let you get going on this good Tuesday morning or afternoon, whenever you're listening to it. So the vacuum law of prosperity. If you want greater good, greater prosperity in your life, start forming a vacuum to receive it. In other words, get rid of what you don't want to make room for what you want. That goes for relationships. That goes for clients. That goes for clutter in the house. That goes for a lot of things. And she follows up with, whenever you dare to form a vacuum, the substance of the universe then rushes in to fill that empty space. So law of the vacuum, put that to use immediately. I'll finish with one of my favorite lines from the book, from Goethe. I never knew how to say that name, Goethe. But Goethe, what you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. That, my friends, is my greatest strength, in that I don't wait. I start well before things are lined up. And I take fast and furious action. You can do the same thing. But this book is a great book. She quotes the Bible a lot, but you can get stuff out of it even if you're not a religious person. I look at this as a purely spiritual book. But if you have a mindset of lack and there's not enough out there with any area of your life, I highly recommend getting this book by Catherine Ponder, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, we'll be back with episode number 49. And in the meantime, if you'd like to download a free copy of the $47 monthly newsletter, I have March's newsletter up at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/N as in no, L as in loser. Let's make that L as in love. So NL. And you can download the free copy. It's about 20 pages, and enjoy. Let me know what you think. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.